This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. A massive search for a missing retired police officer on Grand Bahama, ending in a tragic discovery. Tonight, the former officer, who police say was an integral part of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, is also being remembered as a devoted husband and father. Joan Davis-Roll reports.
It's day 2 of a massive search for a missing retired police officer as police officers here on Grand Bahama head to the seas in search of one of their own. The Royal Bahamas Police Force systematically activating its machinery on Grand Bahama, galvanizing a team of some 60 officers, including police divers, Defense Force officers, new recruits and senior officials, all joining in the massive effort to find Frank Laban Person.
We will not stop until we find Mr. Person. What we have today is a large contingent of officers, and of course we are helped by Defense Force personnel. We intend to cover as much area in the area that Mr. Frank Person lived, and of course we want to extend our search as far as Barbary Beach.
While police officials were organizing themselves to canvass the immediate Pine Bay East Lakaya area located over the Casuarina Bridge, the Assistant Commissioner of Police Emmerich Seymour, along with Superintendent Clarence Reckley, visited Pearson's home, giving support to his wife Yvonne. There, they were also joined by colleagues, family members, and friends. Baffled by his disappearance, ACP Seymour recalled that Pearson was an officer and a gentleman.
To see him just literally disappear, it's a concern to all of us. It's a concern to the Commissioner of Police, and he's equally as concerned, and of course, and his regard to the family as well. But we have quite a number of our resources, as you can see on the ground, air, land, and sea, to try and locate Mr. Pearson wherever he is, and of course, whatever his condition is. And we're hoping that we're hoping for the best. We're preparing ourselves for almost anything, but we're hoping for the best, and we hope that we can perhaps return him to his family, where he rightfully belongs.
But any glimmer of hope was short-lived. A gut-wrenching scream emanated from the forest area, just yards away from the Pearson home, a scream which confirmed the unthinkable. The body of Frank Pearson had been found.
At about 12:25 p.m. on Wednesday, the 8th of October, with the discovery of the lifeless body of retired Sergeant Frank Pearson. He was found on his back at the edge of a canal with his feet in the water, and he was officially pronounced dead on the scene by medical personnel at Duran Memorial Hospital. Now, there is no evidence in this discovery at this time to suggest foul play. However, as in the case of all such deaths, an autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death.
His children, Francine Farquharson and Franklin Jr., were crushed by the discovery.
Absolutely a tragedy. I mean, it's so sad to see him gone, and he was, like I say, he's an awesome provider. He loved his children, he loved his family, he loved his wife. It's just sad. I can't put words to it. I can't even believe that he's gone.
We're trying to pull through best as possible, and with support of everybody. ZNS, the Defense Force, the Police Force, they had everybody out today. Divers, the plane, and they combed the whole area, and at least we have closure to the matter now.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Over in Abaco today, 2 men were charged before the court with assisting in illegal landing. The men, 55-year-old George Stewart of Marsh Harbor and 59-year-old Anderson Davis of Moores Island, were arraigned before Magistrate Ancilla Evans and charged with assisting a group of 34 illegal Haitian immigrants who were found walking on the Ernestine Highway in South Abaco during the early morning hours on Sunday. Both men pled not guilty and were released on bail in the amount of $3,000 with one surety. Stewart and Davis are scheduled to return to court on March 3rd for a trial. The illegal Haitian immigrants that were picked up in West End early Tuesday morning are now at the detention center in New Providence. The 13 males, 6 females, and a minor all boarded a Pineapple Air charter flight this morning headed to the nation's capital. Immigration and police officers found the group hiding out in bushes in West End, and the Florida registered vessel that brought them to Grand Bahama was discovered sometime later tied to a dock on the northern side of the road in West End. The illegal immigrants told the authorities that they each spent $5,000 to be smuggled to the United States. They claimed that they arrived on the island on Monday evening and boarded a vessel for the United States, but hours later the captain dropped them off in West End. The search continues for the captain involved in this alleged smuggling operation. In other news, the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce tackling a critical national issue during its monthly business meeting at the Pelican Bay Resort today. Chairman of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, Rob Myers, speaking to members of the business community, addressed issues related to fiscal and energy reform. He said in recent years, the country's GDP growth has declined to less than 2%.
What's very worrying here is that statistically we would need to be at 5.5% GDP growth in order to deal with the unemployment and the debt and the deficit. So as you can see, and as we've said, we've got an incredibly long way to go. And if you think about when you go to Nassau or when you're driving around Freeport, when you think about 1.2 to 5.5, you're 4 times the amount of activity needs to be going on than is currently going on now.
He said the country's recurring expenditure exceeds the recurring revenue by some $500 million. He added that this is cause for concern.
Over the last 5 years alone, just the debt service, just the interest, has cost us $1 billion. So now debt service, and this is where you hear this rate, debt to GDP, of 65%, is so critical, because at a certain point when your debt to GDP climbs above what's considered a safe threshold, the maximum threshold of 65%, you end up spending so much money on debt service that you can never actually get back to the principal. And so your cost of money also increases, because those lending agencies and rating agencies, will downgrade your status, and then your debt is costing you more.
Myers noted that as debt climbs, so will taxes.
What that does is create a double whammy, because we then as businessmen become less competitive regionally and globally. And that affects every one of us. Doesn't matter whether we're selling Florida-based product or whether we're in the landscape and construction business like myself. Our customers, whether they're local or foreign, have choices, and they are going to migrate to where they can get the better value.
According to the chamber executive, the high cost of electricity is also making it difficult for the Bahamas to compete in the global market.
Electricity costs are twice what they should be, and thus causing a huge drain on foreign reserves and businesses to be uncompetitive. The Oxford Economic Study that we released recently shows that power prices at 22 cents a kilowatt are very attainable with a number of fuel types, and that does deal with the debt, BEC's debt, and a number of other issues related to transmission and distribution and generation.
Police at the Traffic Division on Grand Bahama investigating this island's 4th fatality for the year. The latest victim, a 78-year-old local businesswoman. Joan Davis-Roll has the details.
The area of Seahorse Road in Lakaya, the scene of a tragic traffic accident. The smash-up forced the temporary closure of the busy thoroughfare as officers from the Police Traffic Division tried to determine what went tragically wrong. Inspector Alfonso Pinder was on the scene moments after the crash.
Around 11:50 a.m. This morning, officers from the Traffic Division received a report of an accident here on Seahorse Road. Upon their arrival, they discovered this vehicle in the background, which is a 2000 Honda Accord.
Now, initial reports indicate that the victim was driving in a northerly direction when she apparently lost control of the vehicle, crashing into this tree, discharging both airbags on impact.
A 78-year-old local businesswoman, a resident of Albacore, She was traveling north along Seahorse Road when apparently a vehicle left the surface of the thoroughfare and collided into a tree here in the median. Thus far, we know that the victim was taken from the scene by ambulance, and we are awaiting the outcome of her medical condition at this time.
Hours later, ZNS News learned that the incident had proven fatal for the victim, who for years owned and operated a local travel agency. She later succumbed to her injuries at the Rand Memorial Hospital. In the wake of this latest road death, Inspector Pinder issued this appeal.
We are urging members of the public police to slow down, especially on the busy thoroughfare, especially when there is high peak traffic hours. We find that persons have a tendency to speed, and so we want to urge members of the public police to slow down.
Now, judging from the impact and the damage to this vehicle, what can you tell us?
There might be a number of contributing factors to this incident, but we don't want to speculate at this time. We just want to be able to give you precise information as to exactly what occurred here. As once we're through with the investigation, we'll be able to give you more information as to what occurred.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. The Northern Edition continues after this.
Bringing news that matters to you. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition.
Welcome back. World Mental Health Day will be observed this coming Friday, and as local health officials prepare to share in this global initiative, the issue of suicide is a topic of concern. Clinical Director of Psychiatry at the Grand Bahama Health Services, Dr. Jane Turnquest, says although the issue is not publicized, it is real.
Because our community is so small, we seem to be able to impact on situations much more readily than you can in a bigger community. So that is our advantage. You don't have as much privacy, but as a result, everybody knows everybody, so you're able to assist more readily.
Dr. Turnquest says social and economic situations are common causes of suicide. However, she says domestic violence is another prevalent issue that can bring on suicidal thoughts.
As you said, suicide is just a feature of depression. It's a high correlation. Children are neglected, so the children themselves then develop mental health problems. So there's a spiral effect if the victim doesn't seek help.
Now, Dr. Turnquest recommends that if you find yourself in this situation, seek help immediately. Today was nomination day for candidates offering to serve on public school boards in the country. The nomination process was carried out at the various schools, but at some schools the turnout was less than expected. We visited the Bartlett Hill Primary School and the Jack A. Witt High School this morning.
The parents of the school here, they're quite involved, so I'm looking for a full complement so that we can have an election.
I think the school board plays its role, and there are some categories of the school board where the children benefit because there are certain funds that should be spent on developing programs in the school, materials, resources, and so that's how our students benefit.
School boards help with the general upkeep of schools. Elections are scheduled to take place on Tuesday, October 28th, and at some schools, parents, members of the community, current and past teachers are offering to serve. Among them, Gretel Harvey of Bartlett Hill, 8 Mile Rock.
I lived in the community for a number of years. I've taught at the school for 41 years before retiring 4 years ago. And so, I'd like to be active and continue to be active in my community.
The Bahamas Union of Teachers continues to monitor the teacher shortage issue over in Grand Key. 1 week ago, parents pulled their students out of school, protesting the absence of 2 teachers. Area Vice President for the BUT on Grand Bahama, Quentin LaRota, says they have met with the Ministry of Education to resolve this issue.
The Ministry of Education adopted a policy that they would not send teachers on the job
without the proper approval and the letter of appointment from public service. In the long run, I think that this is an excellent idea, because we've had a situation over the years where teachers have suffered much hardship being sent on the job site by Ministry of Education without the proper approvals and confirmation and appointment from public service, which has mitigated, which has caused salaries to be incorrect. And in some instances, teachers work 3, 4, as much as 6 months without a salary.
The ministry has given the assurance that the teachers will arrive in Grand Key soon. LaRota says the union is in full support of the Ministry of Education's decision. He says in the long run, this new process will be beneficial to all. He encourages parents to continue to keep their children academically focused during this time.
There was 2 shortages that were of main concern. One of them is being addressed. The other one created some problems because the teacher that was identified is going on maternity leave. And so what you would have is a teacher in school for 2 weeks and have to go and leave again. To mitigate against that, the ministry, from my understanding, has hired a substitute teacher in the interim who will deal with those classes until December.
The West End Primary School implementing a new program that they hope will create a greater interest in reading at all levels of that institution. It is called the Star Student Program, and it is sponsored by businessman Lionel Martin, a former student of the school. Principal Navidia Mills says they have high expectations for this initiative.
We are so grateful to Mr. Martin. He is sponsoring the entire program, which includes the trophies, a book, which also helps to encourage the literacy, and free lunch for the day. And so in this program, we have 2 students from each class that are awarded each month, and one for academic excellence and one for good behavior, because we also have our character counts program going on just to encourage good citizenship, good character traits in our students.
Martin says the reading program is his way of contributing to the development of West End. He says he hopes this initiative will inspire the youngsters to become better readers and excellent students.
At the years that you spend playing on this big and the same yard, you find that kids that come behind you, you know, it's like a part of your heart is here, and you want to come back and just assist them and make life a little easier than I had it when I was during the time that I was here. So, you know, so I'm a member of this program right now, and I'm willing to do whatever that has to be done, make it easier and make it more learnable for the children that is here today.
Stay with us. Ricardo Liborn is up next with sports.
Everybody in Sports Time, I'm Ricardo Liborn. You know Rudy Pratt is celebrating today. You know Rudy, baseball, softball Rudy, who gave up those home runs. Yep. Rudy Pratt. Primary school basketball, James Gordon Culmer, Keith Mullins League being played at the Jackiewa Gymnasium. The boys on court, so let's pick up the action. The Mary Star of the Sea Academy huddle was essential. The Sunland Stingers also on court. Sunland Stingers are the defending champions, and this is not by chance. The Stingers can play, and it showed. They had some pretty good passing. Mary Star took what the defense gave at the charity stripe. Here comes Sunland with the ball. Good heads-up play. Watch the backdoor pass. Sunland is on a roll. Parents in the bleachers and with approval. Here comes Mary Star Academy with the fast break and looking to close the Sunland lead. The Tabernacle Falcons waiting to get on court and also recorded a 10-4 win over Hugh Campbell. In the second half, it was a tussle with no advantage on either side of the ball. The Stingers at the charity stripe. That's some pretty good shooting. Mary Star could not keep pace with the Stingers and the size advantage in the paint. Sunland Stingers still undefeated and a 16-4 rout of Mary Star of the Sea Academy. Maurice Moore Raccoons and Walter Parker on court, and the Raccoons got on the scoreboard first. Maurice Moore defeated Walter Parker 8-2. Bishop Michael London also a win over Freeport Primary 12-5. And the Grandma Volleyball Association with 2 games played on Tuesday at the St. George's Gym. The youth in action over the Pleasant All-Stars, and ladies play 25-17, 25-22, 16-25, and 25-12. In the men's affair, the GT Defenders over the BSR Kings 25-15, 25-10, and 25-14. Now, as far as your high school side of things, this is the Oriole Nose Zena Nesbitt League. Tabernacle Junior Girls over Igmarock 21-17, 20-22, and 15-13. Bishop Michael Alden over Jack Hayward. Get this one, 21-10, 21-15 to score. Igmarock Senior Girls put away Tabernacle 19-21, 21-8, 15-8. St. George's Bag Mary Star Academy 21-19 and 21-16. Bishop Michael Alden over Jack Hayward Senior 21-5 and 21-12. Well, the Battle of the Bahamas is right around the corner, folks, and it promises to be a super display of what is referred to as martial arts. The Battle of the Bahamas is being billed as the event of the year for the martial arts schools in the country. The Jaguar Jiu-Jitsu School, the Chunchi-Do, the Baisung School, and other forms will demonstrate and compete October 25th at the St. George's Gym. Dustin Russell is excited about getting ready for the big show, which is down the road and should be fun.
I actually expect to learn many techniques from my brothers in the other school, and I'm very excited for the tournament because I didn't really know that there were more jiu-jitsu and schools on the island except for karate, and I'm just excited. I'm ready to go.
Professor Ivan Moss is inviting all of Grand Bahama and indeed the Bahamas to the Battle of the Bahamas and experience the advancement in martial arts.
What I really look at most of all is that 3 grandmasters, great grandmasters from around the world, is coming here in Grand Bahama, and we're asking for the public, everybody in Grand Bahama, to attend, to, support us and what we're about to do, because there's going to be a lot of fighting, techniques, kata, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Given the magnitude of the tournament and unification of the various schools, Sensei Dwayne King says that the show will benefit martial arts and young people.
It's the only activity that can take a child who is undisciplined and put them in a structured environment, a shy person, and give them awareness and confidence. And we want mothers, women. A lot of women say, I want my kids to come. But there are a lot of attacks that happen in the Bahamas. You don't see it in the newspaper, but you see it in the crime reports at the end of the year. So we want everybody that's coming out. It's going to be a fun day. October 25th, 2014 at St. George's.
Well, folks, boxing champion Sherman Tank Williams will be entering the squared circle. That is the October 16th, and it's going to be down there in the Trust Arena in Auckland, New Zealand. You see, Tank will face New Zealand's heavyweight champion, and that is none other than Joseph Parker. You see, Tank is in New Zealand right now for that showdown with Parker, and he's feeling pretty good about his chances as far as being in the ring. Well, get this. He's had 52 fights under his belt so far, 17 years career, and ready to rumble.
October 16th, I'm going to go out there and take care of business, to give Joseph a beating, take the titles back to the Bahamas, and then next year we get to do this again, but in my neck of the woods, in the Bahamas.
Have you seen a lot of Joseph's fights, on video at least?
Yeah, I did. I seen a few of Joseph's fights. He's up and coming fighter. I've been in the game. I have the experience, and I think that regardless of what Joseph is doing, I'm going to impose my will and do what I need to do to have the victory and to take the titles back to the Bahamas.
Well, Tank is actually 41 years of age, 36 wins, 19 by KO, 13 loss, 2 draw, and 1 no contest. He stands at 5 feet 11 inches tall. That's a lot of power.
Enemy. I've been embracing New Zealand just like I was a Kiwi, but I'm 100% Bahamian, and I've been having fun. Joseph, actually, he's a nice young fighter. He got the right attitude and he's positive. So it was actually quite easy to be around Joseph and his people for these last 5 days. For me, it was not a problem.
Well, let me tell you, folks, that get this. Joseph Parker is age 22. He's actually had 10 wins, 9 by KO. Get this. This guy stands at 6 feet 4 inches tall. And he's the New Zealand heavyweight champion. Tank gonna need to cut the brother down to size. That's sports tonight.